Welcome, students, to Monk Meditation, the show all about monks in the world of Warcraft. BlizzCon has come and gone. Warlords of Draenor has been announced. This week, we're going to discuss what it means for you and your monk. This is Monk Meditation, Episode 9. Here's your host, Chai T. Hello everyone, this is Chai T from Airy Peak, US. We have a new expansion, we have new music. Oh, I am looking forward to this night's episode, so let's go ahead and talk about and introduce our hosts for tonight's show. I'm going to start first with our wonderful Tank Sunnier. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Just finally recovering from my exciting BlizzCon trip.
Yeah, it's, you had a lot of fun, and I'm very envious of you, but we had some fun as well over the live stream, getting banned and all. That was fun. All right, all right, going to Daikatsu. How you doing, man?
I'm so happy. It's almost Thanksgiving, one of my favorite days of the year when you can eat as much as you want and nobody looks at you with loss.
And Air.
Howdy, howdy, everyone. Good to see you all again this week.
All right, and now Yuki.
Hey guys, glad to be back. Chai T, good job on the intro. I really like it.
Thanks, man. I am very happy with this music.
Good stuff.
It's rocking.
All right, so let's get right into it. We've got a lot to get through, so let's go ahead and talk about the next expansion here. What single feature of Warlords of Draenor are you most looking forward to? I'll start with Sunnier.
Well, for me, it's obvious. It's always going to be the new player models. I am so excited about the gnome that we got to see and the female dwarf that we got to see. And I will probably be race changing every month just to experience all of them.
Yes, to try all of them. Okay.
That gnome is just the cutest thing in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, I might have to roll a gnome again. And then Punter.
No points.
Okay. Daikatsu, what are you looking forward to?
Honestly, I'm looking forward to that smart armor. I love the fact that now leather drops and it's got, you know, some combination of crit, haste, and mastery. And if the combination is good for you, you roll on it regardless of whether you need agility or int. You don't have the problems with plate anymore. You don't have the problems, you know, more gear is going to go out and you're going to be able to wear it right away. I love that.
All right. Air, what are you looking forward to?
I kind of agree with Sunny here that I'm pretty excited about the new models. My first character was a Draenei, and I really like the look of them. The space goats are cool, so I think I'm hoping to see more. Maybe up to race change from a Panda to a Draenei. But I think I'm pretty excited for the new Mythic stuff. I think that'll be really cool.
You mean Mystic? Wait, no.
Mystic, nah.
Just the devs make a mistake.
Yes. Now Yuki.
The one I'm looking forward to the most, besides the character models, is the new UI, as far as questing, and the new UI as far as letting you know what gear you can get into according to your item level and stuff. So that was pretty cool to see BlizzCon implement into the game.
Yeah. Going down those lines, I'm looking forward to the new inventory system. Heirlooms. Yes. Heirlooms, toy boxes, hopefully tabards. I hope they get to that. And quest items no longer going into your bag. It's like bag space, thank goodness.
Crafting items will stack to 100.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to have so
Really?
much bag space.
Yes. I am so looking
That's
forward to that.
huge.
And,
Bag space.
the promise of a Diablo 3-like transmog system. They're not saying it's coming, but they're saying they're working on it.
Yeah, not having... My void storage is already full. I can't wait for that to go away.
Bank's full, void is full. I'm going to free up like 30 spots in my bags of toy inventory.
I'm surprised they didn't up the storage for void storage.
Yeah, that would have been nice, but if they do the transmog thing, you're not even going to need it. So
Yeah.
let's talk about our raiding progress, because we're still in the Siege of Orgrimmar. We haven't got to the new raids yet. So let's go to
Storm, Earth, and Fire.
All right, so Rolling Thunder, the team myself and Daikatsu are on. We have down Malkarok in normal. We worked on spoils a little bit, but we reset to try to get some more gear. Got stuck on Dark Shamans a little bit this week. So Duke was a little tired first time in there and decided to roll right into a wall of ashen.
I'm an old
ashen
man.
Wall. Yeah.
Waiting until midnight is rough.
Yeah. All right, now Yuki, do you have a new team yet?
Yeah, I've been busy looking on the forums. And I snatched one normal raid team,
Nice.
Edamame Enterprise in the CTR guild. Our first weekend, brand new. Nobody ran with each other before. Ran Tuesday and Thursday and got 4 out of 14, and
Nice.
got up to Galacrus.
Good
Nice.
stuff.
Good job.
So it was a good first run. Hopefully we clear the first 4 again and one-shot them all and work on Galacrus again.
Yeah, that can be a bit of a tricky fight, but hang in there, you'll get it.
Yeah, it was glitching on us for some reason. The towers wouldn't shoot the dragon or the drake, and
You know that
forgot
you're
what
supposed
else
to
was glitching.
jump in the cannon and shoot the drake, right?
ha ha, yeah.
Okay, just checking.
No, I was busy healing. Sorry.
Okay. All right, Air?
It's been a good week for iron deficiency, so we decided to change our strategy. We were kind of struggling with iron jugs for a little while, so we went back and tried to clear Shop of Pride. So we got down to Shop of Pride Heroic this week, went on, we then cleared iron jugs Heroic, and yesterday we spent most of the night on Dark Shaman. We are doing a 3-tank strategy, and our closest was a 2 million wipe.
Oh,
So it's we're starting again fresh. Hopefully clear everything up again real quickly, and get some attempts on Nazgrim and hopefully Malkarok this week. That's really the goal. So pushing forward.
best of luck to you.
Thanks.
Sunnier, how are you guys doing?
We are up to 8 out of 14 heroic right now, and we almost have heroic Malkarok down. Hopefully we can get around tonight because it'll be my last night with Frustration. I'm changing guilds to play with my friends Ariel, who is the bear tank guide guy, as well as Reese, who used to be the bear tank guide girl. And
Uniting with
a
your
couple,
old druid buddies, huh?
Yep, a couple of other retired druids. So I'm pretty excited for that. And hopefully Frustration won't have too much trouble filling that spot.
Well, if you're a heroic tank, you know where to go. Fenris US. They'll be
Yeah,
recruiting.
seriously.
All right, and unfortunately, they raid on Mondays, don't they, Sunnier?
Yep, that's the bummer.
Yeah. So this will be Sunnier's last official show as a host of Monk Meditation. I'm hoping we can get you in from time to time, though, when you guys are taking a break. So we will have a spot open for Brewmasters, so there'll be more information about that at the end of the show. So let's sit back, sip some brew, and talk about the WoW news, because there sure is a lot of it in.
Dizzying Haze.
So, it wasn't much in the
Heard
way
there
of
was a
WoW
party.
news. Yeah, there was a bit of a party. So, BlizzCon, that happened. Sunnier was there. She had a blast, I'm sure. You want to tell us about that?
Yep, it's very busy, lots of people. But it is so exciting. Just being in the main room during the announcements, it's so tense, and everyone is like holding their breath, just waiting for Metzen to drop the news. And it's always a very fun experience. And then if you get to enjoy that whole thing with friends, you can pass around snarky comments and all in the massive excitement that it is. So.
Yeah, I'm hoping
And
to be there
I
next
also
year.
went to the CTR party, which was
Oh.
cool. I got to see a bunch of the CTR personalities in person, and a bunch of CMs and devs were there too. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, one of the bits of news is that you'll get to roll a brand new 90 when Warlords comes out. So hopefully you'll bring that over to Airy Peak.
Oh boy.
Yeah. We'd love to see you and convert to raid.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool actually.
One of
Resistance
us.
is
One
futile.
of us.
So
We'll become one with the converter.
We've got cookies.
yes, we do.
love
Lots
cookies.
of them. Made out of souls. So, in case you were living under a rock, the new expansion is going to be Warlords of Draenor. Short information about is we'll be going back in time, but not really. Time will be coming to us, apparently. And we'll be going into a 35-year-old Draenor and talking with all the orc clans in there and changing the timeline a little bit, not drinking the blood of Manaroth. So that should be interesting. A whole bunch of new information. Now, if you want a rundown of the actual expansion and all the news that comes with it, we suggest listening to some other podcasts, mainly Convert to Raid. They'll be talking a lot about it. The Instants are two big ones. They'll have a lot of information about that. What we're going to talk about is a monk perspective on it. So if you're a monk in the community, here's the best place to be. So one thing that came out after BlizzCon was about the release date. Of course, they haven't announced an official one, but it's sounding like from a lot of the developers there that it's going to be sooner than we expect. There were a few questions and answers. One of them says, typically after you announce something, it's another year. It was like that with the Mists of Pandaria. They announced in September, and it came out... no, they announced in October, came out September the next year. And we're in 5.4 now. So what content do you have planned for between now and then? The developers indicated that any content they do now will delay the expansion by the same amount of time it took them to focus on the patch. So there will not be doing that. So they're completely focused on making the next expansion and will deliver that as soon as they can, hopefully in a shorter cycle than players are imagining. And another question asked, does that mean a goal is to bring it by summer or spring? And says, well, certainly the goal is before that, but we'll see. It's very hard to predict.
Yeah, right now, that World of Warcraft dev team is the biggest it's ever been in the history of Blizzard. A lot of people that were working on Titan before they decided to rejigger Titan is now working on World of Warcraft. So they've got more artists, more designers, more everything working on World of Warcraft to try and get that expansion out as soon as possible. I think it's very likely we will probably see an announcement that the Friends and Family Alpha will be starting probably in January, followed very quickly by at least a month in February for an open beta or a closed beta. And typically there you can count on 6 months from the announcement of open beta to the release of an expansion. There's no new class to balance. There's a lot that still needs to be balanced. You know, there's 34 specs they need to go through. But we could probably get through this beta in about 4 to 5 months. Yeah,
they said that there aren't going to be that many class changes. So they're going to have to rejigger some things with some of the reforging being gone and, you know, bouncing tiers and everything now that all the stats are going to be the same on each piece of gear. So, but the art is the biggest thing. And while Shadowmoon Valley and Frostfire Ridge, those look pretty new. There's some new stuff, but they get to use a lot of the same old assets they did in Outlands and just kind of retouch it. So there's not as much art as would go into like Mists of Pandaria, which is all new.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as far as releasing the content, they've been doing a good job. If you compare Mists of Pandaria to every other expansion, they've been delivering on their word. Like every 3 months there was a patch, and every patch was major content. If not major content, it was a lot of, dailies and stuff. But they were releasing on time and just a ton of stuff every time. So, assuming that I'm gonna agree with Duke and say it's gonna come out around spring, maybe summer, especially with all the people that are in the dev team now.
I'm thinking April 1st launch, just to screw with us.
Yeah.
Be nice.
What vibe did you get at BlizzCon, Sunair?
I think you guys are right on the money with your guesses. I think a lot of the systems are currently in place and were in place in the demo. Not all, but they don't have any huge balancing to do. They've just got minor tweaks for classes, no new classes. The models, they've hinted that if they're not done by the time they want to release the new the expansion, they're just going to release all the new models and steps. So I don't think that's going to hold them back, and that's kind of the big art that has to happen. And also, I'm just kind of hoping it comes out. I think this is a pretty good tier, but I don't want to spend a whole year in it.
Yeah. I want to have enough time to clear it out, maybe run a couple heroic bosses, and then I want to move on to the next thing.
Yeah, and I think they know that because a year's worth of the same patch and not giving us another little patch afterwards, I think that's another reason they're going to give us WOD extremely fast, because they know people are going to quit from boredom, or maybe they're expecting people to level up alts for the new content. And but I think they're going to release it real quick because they really don't want people to get bored, and they don't want to throw in another Ruby Sanctum.
Right.
See, I'm kind of wondering if
How you
maybe
keep
we
us-
as players want to be a little bored, because that lull at once you finish a raid tier and a new expansion's coming out is a great time for you to leave WoW for a bit, recharge your batteries, get some other games done, and then come back ready to kick ass in an expansion. So I'm wondering if it coming out too soon might actually end up being a negative for a lot of people.
Yeah, I know I would love to take some time to get through some of my gaming backlog, but I'm also stoked for the next expansion too, so it's a win-win for me, honestly. Alright, well, with the next expansion comes new changes, so let's keep your spirits lifted with...
Uplift.
So, I want to go back to Mists of Pandaria for a little bit. There was a bug found by Suplift, who was on our Mistweaver roundtable. And he found this this week and told it to Ghostcrawler. Interesting bug. It allows for pretty much have infinite mana and infinite chi. So the bug works as
And
such.
infinite muscle memory.
Yes. Bug works as such. You go into Stance of the Fierce Tiger. You hit Rushing Jade Wind. You switch back to Stance of Wise Serpent. Your Rushing Jade Wind starts healing, gives you muscle memory, which allows you to then jab and get 4,000 mana back. Or, sorry, Tiger Palm and get mana back. So you just get mana and damage and healing and chi for nothing. Yeah.
I'm very disappointed he went to Ghostcrawler with this instead of us.
You don't want to stance weave.
No.
You really don't. You don't want to be sitting there going, okay, do this, and then Rushing Jade Wind, and then you've got like 3 seconds in which to act, and then you got to switch back and Rushing Jade Wind again, and then go. No, you really don't want to stance weave, and neither does Suplift, and that's why he reported this. And this is, it's right up there with the bug that he gave us during the Mistweaver one, where if during certain conditions, leg sweep will proc chi and muscle memory.
And it still does. It hasn't been
Still
patched
does.
yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Mistweavers are a little broken right now. Literally, they're broken. So,
Yeah. Yeah, any Mistweaver doing this is going to produce amazing numbers, never need any cooldowns, is always going to have chi, and is never going to have to worry about their mana.
Yeah.
Time for me to start working on Thok, I guess.
yes. So that will hopefully be patched soon, or not hopefully, depending on your state of mind. So, all right. So let's talk about the level 100 talents that were announced at BlizzCon. So I'm going to preface this by saying take it with a grain of salt, because Duke, you heard what?
They've already changed internally.
Yes.
It was reported on the MMO forums, at MMO Champion forums. Hey, they've already changed. Don't get too attached to these versions. But let's talk about what they're trying to address with these talents.
Yep. So there were 3 talents announced. One of them is called Vital Conviction, another is Chi Explosion, and the last one is called Serene Mists. So each one has a distinct playstyle addition. So Vital Conviction, what that seems to do is it increases the effectiveness of your mastery. So for Brewmaster, what that did was increased or allowed your stagger to work against magic damage as well. For Mistweaver, it allowed all your healing spheres to instantly trigger and heal anyone within 6 yards, which I think you...
For the full amount.
For the full amount. I think you and Naoyuki both love this very much.
I love this idea.
Yes.
I love all.
Finally, I can do mastery for some reason.
Yes.
I think all 3 were OP, but that's my opinion.
And it's like, if after a long fight, it's like those balls are just everywhere. So you
It's
just
like rabbit poop.
yeah.
Especially
it's
if
just
you're
like-
glyphed into it, yeah.
Yeah, you're just like poof, and just the entire room heals to full, which is kind of broken. But
It's
awesome.
another revival. Yes.
Yeah. So Windwalker, this one was interesting. It's called Hurricane Strike, and it basically made you zip between all the targets, dealing damage over 3 seconds. So if any of you play Diablo 3's Monk, they have something called Seven-Sided Strike. It's pretty much exactly the same. You just zip around doing damage between all the different targets. And you're immune to all damage and effects during this time. So it's almost identical to Seven-Sided Strike. So
Game breaking.
yeah.
Hold on, you didn't mention the best part. The best part is while you're doing this, you're immune to damage and other effects.
I just said that, Duke.
Oh.
Hey, we got this awesome boss ability, provoke ability.
Yeah.
Or- so
Well, it's only 3 seconds, so
Yeah.
you have to be
Yeah, but-
very good at your.
And it is a
Yeah.
45-second cooldown, but then again, we know this has changed.
Yeah.
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 But so this basically takes your mastery and gives a little buff, and so I think that's kind of cool. I still hope they're going to change the Mistweaver mastery for next year, but if they leave that in, I don't know. I'm kind of cool with it again. All of a sudden, so
It works towards the theme of the Windwalker Monk, which is
Yeah.
I'm going to hit all the things around me.
yep. Just adds to our
Yeah.
cleave damage, which is what we are experts in right now. So.
Yep.
the animation could be extremely cool. Get some wind flowing in there. I think it's a really neat idea.
Yep. So let's talk about chi explosions. So this one brings a new mechanic to the monk. So right now, everything that we do is based off of chi, and energy, whatever our resources, and chi. This adds in a new aspect to chi, because right now Blackout Kick is always 2 chi, Fist of Fury is always 3 chi. This would say how many ever chi you have will consume all of it and give you an effect based on how many chi it is. So it basically acts like combo points for rogues. The more chi you have, the more powerful it is. I thought it was interesting they didn't put a 5th one in there if you had Ascension. So, but that's okay. So essentially what it do for Brewmasters is it will allow you to deal damage, gain shuffle, purify, and then do AoE damage depending on, each one builds up the more chi you use. With Mistweaver, it starts with a basic heal and then goes to a also heals an AoE effect, and then it summons healing spheres, and then it also
OP.
then it also does a heal over time on the target as well.
The 3 chi is just OP in my opinion, because every time you get 3 chi, it summons 8 healing spheres around the target. If you put that on your entire raid, you have balls everywhere. And then if you add that with your mastery, that's
a lot of healing.
OP.
Yep.
And then if
It's a
you-
lot of healing, and that's the thing about this. It's a nice filler for when you need. Okay, I need 3 chi in order to do this because here's a big hit coming in. Oh, I only need 1 chi right now. Here's a small heal for somebody, and it's fantastic in that way because there's a lot of times in which you're just sitting on 1 chi and it's like I want to use it, I want to do something because pooling your chi is kind of useless as a Mistweaver. You're going to gain chi constantly.
Yeah,
if
giving
your
you guys
stats-
a 1 chi usage for heals is good because you don't have a 1 chi usage except for Tiger
And it's a
Palm. That's
targeted
correct.
heal.
Yes.
Yeah. Correct.
And let's see, for Windwalkers, basically it's just damage. You do damage, then cleave damage, then you get a charge of Tigray Brew, and then it's AoE damage. And so Serene Mist. So this one was pretty interesting too. It basically says, pretend chi doesn't exist for a few seconds. Go.
It's
For
awesome.
for Brewmasters and Windwalker, yeah. Hey, everything's no chi is spent.
You have to get
It's
up.
your Bruce Lee button.
It looks like you have to go
It's
up
like-
to 4 chi, basically. Or at least 3, because
Rising
nothing
Sun
costs
kick,
4.
Blackout kick, blackout kick, block. I mean, you can get 8 or was it GCD is 1 second, right?
Yeah.
1 point something. So I mean, depending on your lag, that's 1 Rising Sun kick and 8 or 9 blackout kicks right in a row.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's
That's
not
nasty.
to like about that?
Yeah, I thought this one was funny for Brewmasters because Purifying Brew is off the GCD, so you're going to be hitting effectively 2 buttons every second. spamming Purifying Brew, spamming Blackout Kick, and Guard if you want to fit that in. And so I think they're probably going to change it for that reason, just because that's a little.
Yeah, you'd probably just make a macro that says Blackout Kick plus Purifying Brew. Go.
And macro thing together.
Yeah.
The macro is going to be called Kill Boss.
And so that would essentially put you at like a huge amount of shuffle. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge
which
amount of
is
shuffle.
already you have no problem keeping up. Which also makes you wonder maybe they're going to change stuff up with the way shuffle works anyway, but can't really say right now.
Yeah, 'cause that would be an excellent starter. You just hit that, you just hit Guard, and then you get shuffle. Just like bam, right off the bat. So it'd be really powerful. So that one's probably not there because it's a little too OP. So Mistweavers, this one would allow you to chain.
Turn into a shaman.
Yep, chain up to. Yeah,
It's
you
chain
get
heal.
Yeah,
You get chain heal.
Soothing Mist, and you get more chi from doing it too. So
Yeah.
that was a little boring, but kind of cool.
Nice. It's
Yeah.
a nice spell, and Soothing Mist is such a staple of Mistweavers that you're going to get an effect out of this, but Soothing Mist is kind of boring because you just kind of hit it and then you hope for chi.
Right.
I'm hoping chi generation with Soothing Mist gets buffed a little bit in the next expansion.
I like it. Especially because of shamans and their damn chain heal. They're OP. I want a chain heal too.
All right. Well, we're just bouncing back and forth today, like we were hitting our 7-sided strike. So we're going to jump back into Siege of Orgrimmar and talk about how to beat up some of those bosses in
Fists of Fury.
So today we're going to talk about Fallen Protectors. So this is the second encounter in Siege of Orgrimmar. You have 3 bosses, and let's talk about how to handle that as a monk. So as a tank, what should we do, Sunir?
Well, this is a fight where Shuan really shines. You pop him at the beginning when everyone can kind of be tanked in the middle, and he will do embarrassing amounts of damage. It is just all of your DPS will cry, and they will say, "What is wrong with you?" He is doing something like 70% of your DPS at that point. So that's great. That's a very good talent for that. And if you time it right, he can also tank some ads for you during like Sun's desperate measures. One of the few times where his taunt is useful, so that's pretty cool. And also, for cooldowns, there's not much tank damage going out. Even Rook's stun is not really something you have to be scared of. So instead, you should use your cooldowns when the healers are freaking out, like during Sun's Calamity, when she deals damage equal to 30% of everyone's health. Now, that's not really a big deal to a tank. But for everyone else, it's very scary for healers. So if you can use Guard or something to make it so at least you're safe and you took barely any damage, that's a nice thing to do.
Yeah, I usually pop Touch of Karma when that happens as a Windwalker. This seems to be the only real usage for that in that fight. So, all right. So for DPS, Storm, Earth, and Fire is your friend as always.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So careful management of your clones will ensure you're helping bring down all of the bosses fairly evenly. Be sure to check with your raid leader first, as depending on how your raid is comped, you may need to be more focused fire, but if you're DPSing them down without any problems, throw them on the other 2 while you're DPSing Rook, and help bring him down so you're doing more DPS overall and bring him down faster.
Yeah, I mean, if careful management of your SCF clones is vital to doing the best you can in this fight. So I recommend, you personally staying on Sun yourself so you can help with interrupts. Interrupt that chassis or help the raid up a ton. SCF the other 2 and do all the damage. If your guild is tanking them all together, Russian Jade Wind is really nice just for the cleaving everyone. You see some of the guilds are able to do that. If you're taking them apart, stick with Zune, Shuin, and you'll be able to get a lot of damage in the beginning. And yeah, Matt, when you got Misery, Sorrow, Gloom, switch up, get yourself on Gloom for the interrupts there, get the rotation down, and just watch the DPS skyrocket. It's fantastic.
Yeah, this is the two fights. This one and the one coming up are where Windwalkers just shine because of Storm, Earth, and Fire.
Yeah.
When in heroic mode, when you have the embodied anguish, you probably want to spec into diffuse magic to help out with soaking this if you're part of the rotation, especially if you're in a 10-man, because you'll be putting that pretty quickly. So that gives you 6 seconds. Pop your Touch of Karma and Energizing Brew for a couple extra seconds, so you can take a couple extra hits of that. But otherwise, keep your SCF up, and you're good to go.
Yep. All right. So now, Yuki, got any healing tips for this fight?
Not really. I mean, for me, this is my favorite fight because the numbers are high as hell for Mistweavers. But it's a typical healing fight, just do your normal rotation, Renewing Mist, Uplift, Revival, all that good stuff. I'm going to get into talents, though, because some good talents to choose are either Chi-Wave or Zen Sphere, depending on your choice, because of when you're all stacked for healing, there's a lot of damage going around. Another way you could help out is either Ring of Peace or Leg Sweep. And if you want, you could go Rushing Jade Wind to help out with the AoE heals, but I prefer Chi Torpedo because I just like the look of it. But yeah, you could use Dampen Harm as well to help out with your heals. If you see yourself getting low for some reason, even though you're a healer, you could go Healing Elixirs, drink some Honesty, heal yourself. But other than that, it's a typical just normal rotation heal fight.
All right, Duke, got anything to add?
The only thing as a healer you want to be careful for is dispelling Shawseer when it happens, because it jumps around and it can do a lot of damage. Catch it when it's got 3 stacks on somebody and you don't have to worry about it. Other than that, like Nayuki says, it's pretty much a stand in the ranged and heal kind of fight. You can find a couple of opportunities to fist weave during the Desperate Measures to help your team get out of the Desperate Measures phases. And it's always helpful for that last burn to just stand in the middle, Rushing Jade Wind, and pump out as many heals as you can, and your team is going to be fairly well topped off. It's not that difficult a fight once you've gotten it down once. That first getting it down, though, can be an issue because basically you just got to time yourself, make sure that you've got enough mana to last the whole fight. Speccing into Chi Brew is great for that.
Okay, if you listeners...
Specking out of Mana Tea as well.
Yeah, if you listeners have any tips that we missed for monks, go ahead and tweet those to us at WowMonk or email the show. Let us know. We'll go over them in the next show. Okay, so now we get into the meat of the show. We have a lot of it to get through in
Transcendence.
Okay, so we're going to dive back into Warlords of Draenor. So let's talk about the new raid structure, because this has a lot of people confused and irritated or thrilled. One of the three.
Or they don't care.
Or they don't care. Yeah, the apathetic.
Yeah.
So fourth option there. So, okay, let's take 5.4 to 6.0. 5.4, LFR, 25 people. 6.0, LFR, 10 to 25 people. You start out with 25, and then you'll drop down as low as 10 if people start dropping out. 5.4 Flex, 10 to 25 people. 6.0 Normal, 10 to 25 people. So the normal moniker has been moved down to Flex. 5.4 Normal 10, Normal 25 equals patch 6.0 Heroic 10 to 25. So the Flex technology has been added into Normal and Heroic. And so that means that you can go in anywhere between 10 to 25. They did some improvements with the Flex technology, so there's no more of these breakpoints. So right now in Siege of Orgrimmar, you go in with 14 people in this one fight and you only get 3 orbs and Naroshen. If you go to 4, then you have 4 orbs. Or if you go to 15, you have 4 orbs. And that's harder, so let's not do that. So they've changed it, so it's going to be a percentage-based. So if you've got 14, it'll be, well, you have 3 orbs and a 60% chance to proc a 3rd orb. Something like that. So it will always be kind of even. It will spread out, so you don't have to worry about, oh, I can't bring you in, sorry, because you're going to make the fight harder.
So their goal is to
stuff.
get rid of breakpoints as far as the number of people in a group goes.
You should always be able to bring in that other person, or lose a
Bring
person.
along your
and not
friends.
worry
Have a
about
good time.
it. Exactly. All right. So the biggest change, and the one that's bringing up a lot of ire in some people, patch 5.4, heroic 10, heroic 25 equals mythic 20. Flex is not. Yeah. Flex is not in Mythic, so you have 20 people. There's no 10-man heroic anymore.
But how are we going to spend hours debating which is harder, 10 or 25?
Right.
Well, now you can spend hours debating which is harder, Mythic or not doing anything.
Right.
I'm interested in knowing how the top end guilds feel about this, because you have 10-man heroic teams, 25 heroic teams. So either 10-mans have to recruit 10 more people, and 25-man guilds have to bench 5 people, or they're going to make 2 mythic teams, or what? And so, I mean,
There was a short interview I saw that did have like the Method and Blood Legion were interviewed, and I think one of the guys from Midwinter as well, and they're all pretty much for the change. They're all excited about it. I don't have the link for it, but that's what I was reading. So. Well, I haven't heard back. There's yet, though.
There's a couple of really great benefits for this being a single raid size. One, the devs know what to tune for, so they can actually make sure that it is as hard as they want it to be for 20-man. Mm-hmm. 2, it's on a separate lockout from LFR, normal, and heroic. That's one thing that we need to talk about. LFR, normal, and heroic are going to be on the flex lock mode that you have now, where you are locked out to loot for a boss, but it doesn't stop you from joining a friend's raid who is starting from scratch, jumping in, and helping them kill more bosses. Mm-hmm. Mythic is going to be your classic lockout, where you're locked up to a point and you can't repeat it with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, 20-man, you know that that's going in. They can make it as hard as they want to, and because of the lockout, now they can make trash harder as well, which means getting from boss to boss was going to be more than lol face roll.
And the other thing about bringing 20 people is that does allow there to be one of every class. Yeah. Whereas before, with 10-man, you left one class out, and usually you were doubling other classes, and so you left a few classes out. So 20-man actually is more inclusive, so we should actually see some more Windwalker monks in these mythic raid teams. Whereas 10-man heroics... Well, Mistweavers tended to be there anyways, but Windwalkers, there were some issues with the 10-mans. So...
Yeah, and I think the way the class is, because melee is still going to be a very hard, fought space to find. But with these changes, you're going to see it be able to bring, if only one Windwalker, you'll be able to get that Windwalker in hopefully every team. So that's really neat. That's nice.
Yep. And that'll let them make those boss mechanics specific. Oh, for this one you need to counterspell it, so make sure your mages are ready. And for this one you need mind control. Like the one fight that was brought up was Resuvius on Instructor Resuvius in Naxxramas. If you went into Nax and 10-man, you had these 2 orbs that your tanks essentially walked up to and had to do the mind control. Whereas if you were in there in 25, you needed your priest to mind control those ads, which meant that you were losing some players, but it was kind of an exciting thing because here's a spell that you don't use in a raid ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, be able to, and if you need a fight and need some sane cleave damage, well, then you make sure you have your monk.
Exactly.
So, Sunyer, we know that they didn't really talk to the high-end raiding guilds. They said as much during the panels about this change. Mm-hmm. So, what have you been hearing from the Mythic perspective?
Well, now that the initial panic has settled, I'm seeing at least a lot of 25-mans who are happy or at least neutral about the change. 10-mans still seem to be freaking out, but that's kind of to be expected. It's a rough change. I think it's definitely a necessary change, and I'm personally excited as a 10-man raider, mainly because tank damage has not been very challenging in 10-man. They can't make it challenging because you have 2 healers, and they have to cover the raid as well as the tank. So that has led to tanks being more DPSers in 10-man, just because of that tank paradigm. And I'm kind of happy that, at least for hard modes, they're moving away from that, so that tanks can again be threatened by damage because there's only one really hard mode that they have to tune around.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And I'm also excited about just having the chance to use kind of weird spells like mind control and having more interesting encounters that don't necessarily have to be scaled down to 10-man as well as scaled up to 25.
And that argument of which is harder, 10 or 25-man heroic, even Ghostcrawler has come out and said that on average, 10-man is easier.
And that's why there's so many more 10-man heroic teams than there are 25-mans.
It's a lot easier to get 9 other people than it is 24.
It is.
25 people, you need to manage a bench. Now, those 25 static raiders that you have, now there's your bench.
Yep. Okay, so show of hands here. Who has used Open Raid or OQ? Okay. All right. Well, we won't have to use them anymore. In 6.0, they are going to be adding in a raid finder type mechanic that's not LFR, but will allow people to pug, and it's going to be cross realm. So you can say, hey, I want to go back and do ICC 25-man. I need a few other people to come with me who wants to go. And before you went to a site like openraid.us, and they're great, I love them, but it's difficult because you then have to, send out your battle tag ID, get that added, and then all of a sudden your list is full of battle tag friends, and OQ is horrendous for this. I ended up deleting that add-on because they just put way too many friends on there. I had no clue where they're coming from, and it was really bad. So, but now they're implementing this in the game, and the one thing, and I hope they do, that I really liked about Open Raid is there was a reputation system, and you did reviews at the end of the night. So if you were a raid leader, you would go back and say, well, this guy didn't show up. This guy was a total jerk. This guy ninja loot. Things like that. And so he has a reputation that follows him. So I hope they have the same thing in this. Because we all know the troll community loves stuff like this.
I think that might be a little out of scope for what they want to do. It's going to be a heck of a database hit. It's going to be the kind of thing, though, where you will know the people that join up. I mean, if it's, Arthas XXX smokes mad blunts and he's from whatever server, that's not to be trusted, especially if he's a Death Knight.
Yeah, but I still hope they implement something where if someone continually trolls, they're going to get smacked down.
Now, the really nice thing about this group finder is that it's going to be open-ended. It's not just going to be limited to, hey, we're doing ICC 25, let's go. It's going to be like, hey, we're farming rep on the Isle of Timeless Isle, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just limited to, here's your check mark, here's what you do. It's going to be very open-ended, and the whole point is, what am I in the mood for, and what groups out there will service me?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Well, maybe not phrases like that.
Yeah, and
I remember that the 50 Shades of
Raid.
Raid.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I still feel dirty.
Yeah, but that'll be so much fun on putting together flex modes and stuff like that. Just grabbing a few other people, because it's like, I've got 10 friends who want to hop in and do it, but if we're having problems with the boss, toss it out and see who else wants to come along, and they'll have good item level. Oh, come on in, we'll down it together. So that'll be fun for me if I don't want to put together a raid. I'm just like, I just want to join something. Nothing's going on in guild. Let's see what's going on. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. And they have it in game right now. No one uses it, but they're going to make it a lot more polished and a lot more usable.
I was just looking at that in game the other day, and it's like, I remember looking at when I first started playing, I'm like, what is this for? Oh, cool. I'll check that out, and then you forget about it for a year, and no one ever uses it. So.
Yeah, it's hard to find, though. It's like buried in some of the menus, so hopefully they'll make it a lot more findable.
And even Blizzard has owned up to the fact that one of the reasons why nobody uses it is because they made the random group finder so convenient.
Yeah.
That it was easier to get a random group together than it was to ask a buddy if they wanted to go with you on a dungeon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they know this is a mistake. This is on us. We screwed this up. We need to fix that. And this is going to be a step. So you're probably going to see on the tabs those roll reversed. The open group finder is going to be first, and then all the random stuff is going to be hidden behind that.
Yeah. And that'll be good. I mean, Flex has been a godsend this patch. Not
been
having
great,
to deal
yeah.
with LFR, it's been so
Yeah.
nice. So,
I have not killed an LFR boss this patch.
woo.
So good.
I was doing it just to fill up the green bars in the armory, and I'm practicing my healing on LFR, which it's a good place to practice healing.
I'm perfectly happy leaving that as a giant goose egg.
Yeah, you're a braver person than I am.
Yeah, I've gone in and done on an alt or two, and it's just as bad as people imagine. Okay.
And twice as bad if you're a tank.
Yeah. All right, so they did
A
announce.
trinket that never drops. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. You don't want the LFR version, anyways, right? No.
I
Yeah.
want any version. I have bad trinkets right now.
All right, so they didn't announce Buzz. No, Yuki, Buzz. Thank you. Okay, so they announced 2 new raids, and let's see. So one of them is called Blood Maul Slag Mines. The other one's Blackrock Foundry, and so the first one is going to be Blood Maul Slag Mines, and that one's only going to include 4 bosses, but a non-linear layout, which is interesting. They're going back to that model, so not Throne of Thunder where you
I
walk
thought that one
through
was.
each one.
No, you're right. Yeah, it is 4 bosses,
Yeah,
isn't it?
both of the raid tiers this time are non-linear, which I really like. I like going back to that. So, now the one problem with that is it's hard to make scalable difficulty like they did so well in Siege of Orgrimmar, where each boss gets progressively harder. It's impossible to do that when you're linear. You have to set the first boss in each wing kind of the same. 'Cause otherwise, I guess you could do it. So
Yes and no.
One wing-
I think for Blood Maul, you're not going to see that big a difficulty. The easiest one is going to be the one that kind of pants around, and the other 2 that are hiding out might be a step up, and then the last one's going to be a difficulty. But they've even said that, hey, this is just a small raid to get together, do some stuff, and then 2 weeks later, we're going to release the masterpiece of our launch patch, which is Blackrock Foundry.
Yes. Someone will have 10 bosses and a non-linear layout, so 3 different wings. So here you're going to be tearing down the Iron Horde war machine and face off against Warlord Blackhand. So,
Kill all the orcs.
yes.
All of them.
That's the subtitle of this expansion.
Orcs must die?
Yes.
Oh, that's a different game.
Yes, no, we can't have that one. All right, now you saw there was a tweet from Ghostcrawler on this?
Yes. Where are we? What? I'm lost. My wife walked in.
Distracted by beauty.
Yes. I think he tweeted the raids might release with the Warlords of Draenor maybe 2 weeks after. The release schedule might look like normal and heroic 1 week, and mythic the next week, and then LFR the following week after that.
Okay, so similar rollout as they had in Throne of Thunder and in Siege. So
Yep.
not too surprising.
Yeah, nobody expected that to change. Mythic is going to be unlocked after you do heroic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're probably going to do it similar to Tier 14, right, Senior?
Yeah, I think that's what they mentioned. Just like the release, how they released MSV early, and then 2 weeks later followed up with Heart of Fear and Terrace of the Endless Spring. They said they liked that quite a bit, so it's probably going in that way.
Yeah, when you have multiple raids in a tier, it makes sense to kind of split them out that way, especially if they're up in difficulty. Okay, so one of the other changes, and we won't cover too much about this, but garrisons. This is a huge addition to the game. It's the farm times 1,000, essentially. I'm really excited about this, but it's not really monk specific at all. You'll be able to get some Pandaren followers I saw in there, but
Yeah, and it brings a little bit of Warcraft 3 into World of Warcraft, essentially.
so in there you'll be able to get limited access to other professions and send your followers on crafting missions and raids and all that, get gear, a whole bunch of stuff to get. Okay, let's see. Armor changes. Here's the big one.
This is
Okay, hit gone, expertise gone, dodge gone, parry gone, reforging still here. Wait, no, gone.
Get out.
So one question was brought up during the panel, and I know a few other people have asked, is So I spent 108,000 gold on a reforge mount that doesn't reforge anymore. Awesome. Thanks, Blizz.
It's going to give you flying in 6.0.
No. They got to replace that vendor with a transmog vendor.
Yeah, because you need that in the middle of a raid.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I do.
I want to see an
I don't
Sometimes
know, like
you
a
forget.
Clown, that was BC.
I want to
You get
see
a
item
drop.
upgrade.
Doesn't match your gear. I mean, this is completely important.
Yes. I want to see item
But why
upgrade
not
on
make
there,
it like
actually.
the travel mount and just have the other vendors sell you useless stuff?
Some
Like
people
water,
are hoping for
bread.
Portable mailbox is always there. Portable auction house is always there. I mean, those would all be. I mean, that'd be portable auction house would be worth 108,000 easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want a mailbox because then a lot of engineers are going to be very angry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's
but you
true.
might
We
want
had
a
our
bank.
mailbox for like big expansions. Other people can have it now.
All right, so
So-
some of the other changes we mentioned before, no more agility leather versus intellect leather. So those of us like me who
Just that.
are Windwalker main Mistweaver off-spec, I'm not going to have to be carrying around 2 sets of gear. I'll be able to carry around 1 set of gear plus a couple of trinkets and stuff like that. So how this is going to work is anything that is leather. So it's going to be like your helm, shoulders, chest, waist, things like that. They will have primary stats plus secondary stats. Your primary stat, if you're in Windwalker, will be agility. If you're in Mistweaver, it will be intellect. So you keep the same gear and it just switches with you. So you're going after the secondary stats, which I kind of have some problem with because none of the specs ever have the same secondary stats.
Correct.
And there's a lot of people who are saying that this is it's a Hosanna on high for people who like to play multiple specs, and it really isn't. Especially if you're like a mage. If you're a mage and you're playing fire, you want a lot of crit, and if you're playing arcane, you want a lot of mastery.
Right now you do.
Right now, yeah. It changes every patch.
Yep.
But it wouldn't help you because if you have pieces that are crit and haste and you switch over to arcane, it's still crit and haste. And you can't reforge any of it into mastery. So it's going to be fantastic for that person who wants to be 80% efficient. Hey, I just need to do Windwalker this one tier, or hey, I need to tank for this one boss, that kind of thing. That's who this is going to benefit. But let's talk about specifically Mistweavers here. We got to confirm from Ghostcrawler, no spirit on any of these pieces. That is heads, shoulders, chest, gloves, waist, legs, boots, and what's the other one that comes out? Wrist. That's it. Those 8 pieces will not have spirit on it. They will not have armor on it for tanks, which is going to be the main way that you will know if this is a tank item or a DPS item. Spirit's how you're going to know if something is a healer item or a DPS item. So you're going to be efficient as a Mistweaver wearing whatever leather drops, because the leather armor is never going to help you with regen. This also means that they might boost how much spirit is going to give you as far as mana regen. To kind of make up for the fact that you're not going to be wearing as many spirit pieces anymore. That's going to be on your 2 trinkets, your 2 rings, your cloak, your weapons, and your offhand. That's where your specialization is really going to be.
Well, and changing the stat weights like this, I mean, you're going to have to see a big overhaul in the way classes use their stats as well. So, the fact that, right now you can forge crit or haste. For Windwalkers, we can go up to we can reforge into more haste or less haste. It's probably not going to matter as much. You're just going to, hopefully, this will go along with the changing the stat weights to say, hey, this is our best stat, followed by this. So it's maybe a dumbing down of the system, but
Not quite a dumbing
just-
down. Let's say a simplification when it comes to armor. Because this is really only for those 8 pieces. Your other 8 pieces are going to be highly spec specific, highly playstyle specific.
yeah.
Because it's going to allow them, they don't need to have a loot table with 4 different kinds of plate.
Yeah.
Now they can use, there's only one kind of plate, and instead let's make 2 or 3 other trinkets that are very specific. So you're going to see trinkets and weapons and all this other stuff be very, very spec specific for you. Very playstyle specific. And it's exciting as far as that goes. It means when your armor drops, it's going to be a little boring because, it's just leather. But when a ring drops and it's the exact ring you need, that's going to be exciting. You're going to want to, stab anyone who gets in your way for that. Now, the other thing we know is that, going back to what you were saying, Air, is they have said that they want to lessen the impact of haste breakpoints when it comes to healers. They actually want to try and take away some of the stat snapshotting that happens right now when it comes to dots and hots.
Yeah.
So you're going to see haste be helpful for getting spells off faster, but you probably won't see the kind of thing where, hey, right now, if you're a tier 16 Mistweaver Raider, you want to aim towards that 9,000 some odd haste breakpoint.
I wonder if they're going to use the same methodology they're using for Flex, where, say, if you are 60% of the way to the next breakpoint, you have a 60% chance for that hot to go to the next person or to tick another time.
It's very possible that they may do that, but they definitely want to get away from this idea of breakpoints being in the game. They want a point of haste and a point of crit to matter to the people who like haste and like crit. And not just what Ask Mr. Robot tells you, but what you want as a player.
Yeah, it seems to me they're declaring war on Ask Mr. Robot.
Which is funny, because Ask Mr. Robot was more thrilled than just about anybody for this change.
Yeah, totally.
Because now they're talking about, now we can do the cool stuff. We don't have to spend 90% of our R&D figuring out how to reforge hidden expertise properly, which is what Ask Mr. Robot was really there for. Hey, how much hidden expertise do I need to put on these pieces in order to max out the stats that really matter?
Yeah, they'll be able to focus better on what the best in slot items are and things like that now. So they have,
and they're even talking about doing combat log analysis, where they will see and hey, you need to hit this button more often.
Yep.
Yeah.
So a lot
this
more
is how much you suck.
Yeah.
So
I want to know.
One of the other things that they're doing is removing a lot of the slots that could be enchanted before. So now you can enchant a lot of the things. So it's probably going to be the major ones, like your chest and chest and gloves. Those are the ones that have the kind of cooler enchants. And then weapons, of course. So they're probably removing like bracers, and they're probably leaving boots for all the movement speed stuff. But they're taking away some of the slots that they used to do. And so my theory is, and they said they're going to be putting more options for the enchanters to do. So I think enchanters and jewel crafting now are going to become the next reforgers. So it's like,
exactly.
Ching.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I was really worried about with the removal of reforging that our soft cap stats like haste. What do you do? What if one guy wants 8k haste, another guy wants 12k? But the enchants are probably going to alleviate that. Sometimes if the guy who wants a lot of haste can choose a haste enchant, the guy who doesn't want a lot can choose the mastery enchant. I'm hoping that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
And for the jewel crafters out there, the gems are going to be stronger, which means you won't sell as many because they're going to drop the amount of items that have gem slots. But you're going to be able to sell those gems individually for a lot more than you are now, probably triple or quadruple the prices you get now, easily.
With jewels, with jewel crafting and jewelry slots or gem slots, what they're doing is they're implementing these things called bonuses, where each item will have a specific item budget, and that's only for the main and secondary stats. They're introducing bonus stats similar to Warforged gear, where you just get 8 extra item levels, or 6 extra item levels. You will have a chance for that to drop also with being indestructible, where you don't have to repair it. Having bonus movement, having cleave, having some of these things that they've implemented in the trinkets in Siege of Orgrimmar. They're moving those into bonuses, and one of the bonuses is a gem slot. So the gem slots are no longer in those bonus, or in the... Yeah.
And there's no more socket bonus.
They're in the budget. Yeah, no more socket bonus as well.
Now, it is possible for you to have a Warforged gem slot cleave item to drop. So each one of those are on separate rolls, and the item will just get awesomer and awesomer as it succeeds in the rolls. But the odds of that happening are going to be so far and few that unless you're doing a raid every day, you're never going to see that item drop.
Yeah, but it does give you reasons to keep running stuff. You always have a possible progression in power, which is kind of cool.
Is that essentially what you have in Diablo, with the weapons random stats kind of dropping, or is this be more like set, is what you're saying?
It's not going to be set. They're not going to have, hey, you have a chance for this item to have these pieces. One of the things they talked about is like boots might have a chance for movement speed.
Yeah.
So you're never going to have a helm that drops with movement speed, probably.
Right.
If they want to do that, they can. But you're not going to, one of the things they said is that you're not going to be able to farm for this. So they don't really care if somebody is able to farm a full set of movement speed. Hey, congratulations. If someone's able to get a whole one of indestructible, which means that your gear never degrades, awesome. If you want a full set of cleave, hey, go nuts. It's going to take you a long time, but if you do it, yay you. You're running the content, you're getting the drops you need to get rewarded.
Right.
Okay.
And so all of these things, the only thing that is set and defined, so if you go and you kill Warlord Blackhand, that's one we know, that's the end of one for tier 17. You kill him, he's going to have a piece of leather, he's going to be like a leather chest, and it will have blank number of primary stat, and it will have haste and crit. That's it. That's all you know. But when you get it to drop for you, it may be Warforged, or whatever the designation is, iron, probably Iron Forged or something. It'll have 6 extra item levels on it. It could have cleave. It could have cooldown reduction. It could have a gem slot. It could have indestructible.
Lifesteal was another one they mentioned, which converts a percentage of your damage to health.
Right. And none of that, if you get cleave or something on that, that will not reduce the secondary or primary stat. So it's completely separate from the item budget. So it's a bonus. That is all it is a bonus. Like, congratulations, you got something added onto your gear. And what's really nice about that is that when something drops, you should be able to just put it on. You don't have to go get it gemmed and then get it enchanted, and then get it reforged, and reforge all your other gear, everything like that. So you should be, because right now, I love when I get a new piece of gear, but I also dread it, because I'm like, well, there goes 2,000 gold.
So, if it's a weapon, bye-bye.
Yeah, if you get a weapon specifically, yeah. So now it should be able to, like, oh, sweet, I got a new weapon. Cool, put it on. Here we go.
Yeah, now it's okay. Do I have the gem for it? Do I have the enchant for it? Okay, put it on. Do that. Oh, ask the throw about. All right, break out the reforged mount. All right, we're ready to raid.
And it's really awful because you're designed. The bosses are designed for you to be gemmed and enchanted. Now with this, since they can't guarantee your gem and they can't guarantee your enchant, the bosses are going to be designed for the gear that's dropping, and the enchant, and the gemming, and the Warforged, and the tertiary stats are all going to be extra bonuses.
Now, another thing, and this one is an interesting one. Your tier piece, tier 17, there is only going to be one tier 17 for monks. You're not going to have 3 different tier 17s. So, my thing about this is I really hope they change Mistweaver Mastery. Because
they're going to.
Some of these pieces are going to have mastery on them, and I don't want my raid team to be, well, it's got mastery, so I'm not going to take my 4-piece bonus. Because it sucks.
Yeah, and if you build your Mistweaver 4-piece bonus, hey, guess what? You also got a Brewmaster and your Windwalker 4-piece bonus at the same time when you switch a spec. So you don't have to go farming for those extra tier pieces and take away tokens from other raiders who could use it.
Right. So you only have to get 4 pieces of tier, not 12 pieces of tier. So that is really cool, but it has some inherent problems since each spec seems to want different stats. But maybe they'll fix that as well.
And this is why I was excited at the beginning for these changes. This makes armor really cool again. It makes trinkets and weapons and rings actually useful, because it's not just, well, there's like 3 trinkets that matter to me in this raid. There might be maybe a half dozen trinkets that you would actually love to play with and swap them out each fight, and suddenly those non-armor slots become as customizable as your talents and glyphs. I mean, that's exciting. You're going to see less sharding. You're going to see a whole bunch of stuff. Every time something drops, somebody is going to celebrate. And that's the way it should be.
Yep.
All right. Any last thoughts on the item changes before we move on? Okay, let's talk about
a lot of good information.
Let's talk about the item squish. So they also announced this will be coming in, and so the biggest thing to keep in mind is that your relative power is not changing. So someone mentioned on Twitter it's a 5% rule essentially. Take 5% of your current health, that's about what you're going to have. Take 5% of your current damage, that's about what you're going to have. However, that also means boss's health, 5% of what it used to be. So your relative power is not going to change. They said if it took you 5 seconds to kill a gulp frog on the Timeless Isle, it's still going to take you about 5 seconds to kill it. They also indicated that going back and doing old content, so if you want to go back and farm ICC, you should still be able to solo it if you can solo it now.
Yeah. And they even admitted as much that they had no idea that soloing old content was going to be as popular as it was when they introduced Transmog. But since so many people are doing it, they have to keep that intact. So if you can kill Ragnaros and Molten Core today in 3.5 seconds, on 6.0 you'll be able to kill Ragnaros and Molten Core in 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, the only thing that I can think this is actually going to affect is guilds like Alter Time, where they're going back and doing old content at level.
Yeah.
Because the biggest thing in the item squish is they're taking like tier 1 and tier 3, which have huge differences in item level, but it's the same level 60 content. They're squishing those down, so they're going to be very similar to each other. So once they get up to, Nefarian is going to be a pushover in comparison to what it was.
Well, does this mean like Hogger will have 1 hit point when you go see him?
Yeah, should be about
Might
there.
have 4.
Yeah, 4 or 5 probably. Yeah.
I mean, does it mean like all these old enemies we see at level 1 area, we actually see them with single-digit hit points? Is that what the item switch essentially means?
Yep.
No,
If
your
you wanna-
power
if you
level.
wanna- Go ahead, Sonny.
Well,
think
your power level will still be relatively the same for those. Like as you level up, the curve will kind of be the same. It's that right now the curve kind of goes like you level up like whatever to 60, and then it's like whoa.
Yeah.
And they just eliminate that big jump. So 60 is where you might see a difference. But leveling, it's roughly the same.
Because if you take a look at tier 14 through tier 16, we started tier 14 at LFR version was 483 item level. We've now near 583 for Heroic Warforged. Something like that. It's close up there. So
now,
that's 100
item
levels.
are going to stay the same.
No, well, yeah, they're going to be staying the same, but it's going to be the power is going to be squished down.
Yeah.
So, but the power between getting at 490, like I just got my Hunter up to 484. I just hit 90 the other day. I'm doing like 40k DPS, and I'm like trying my best. My Monk's doing like 250, 300k. That difference, that's ginormous. That is huge. Yeah. And so that's the squish that's going to be squished. Now, Pandaria, they're not touching. They'll probably touch that when 7.0 drops. They'll squish that down. But the difference between when you started doing Naxxramas in Wrath and ending in ICC, those power levels, you have the same kind of huge power gap that you do now back then. So if you started out a fresh 80 versus an 80 in heroic gear from ICC, your power was astronomically larger. And so now they're squishing that down, so a fresh 80 and someone geared in ICC gear is going to be not that different.
Yeah, that's basically where all the gap is. I'm just looking it up right now, and let's take Lucifron in Molten Core. If you get a tier piece from him, it's item level 66. If you get a kill from Nefarian, which is just a few bosses up the road, it's item level 76. You no longer need those 10 item levels there. There's no reason why it has to be 66. Maybe now it can be 62, and then Molten and then Blackrock Lair can drop down to 64. And then they just take these numbers, they keep the same item level, they drop them to these lower ones, and they compress each tier, and then they go over it again in 70, and they go, hey, you don't need to be at this item level to this item level. We squish it down here, and then 80, squish it down again. Cataclysm, squish it down again, and suddenly the numbers are a lot more manageable.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, we have max level world content. So they said at level 90 or level 100 when we get there. Miss Pandaria had a couple of dailies, just a few, 100,000. They're wanting to get away from that. They said there are going to be few, if any, dailies. they're going to more of a Timeless Isle type perspective. They said that was a good petri dish, a good test to see what people liked. And people liked those dynamic events that they had in the Barrens, that they had in Timeless Isle, where something just pops up on the map. Oh, let me go check this out. And so they're having those quests and things pop up dynamically. So that will be kind of cool. Now, leveling up from 90 to 100. This is something that I like to say. We have too many buttons. We have a lot of buttons.
Way too many.
Yeah. So they were like, yeah, you guys have a lot of buttons. We shouldn't give you more buttons. More buttons is bad. So the next button we're going to get is our level 100 talent. They're not going to give us any new abilities. What they are going to give us, however, is upgrades to existing abilities. So as we hit 91, all of a sudden one of our abilities will change slightly. It'll be more powerful, or it will change slightly in gameplay mechanic. So they said this is how they're going to introduce class changes as they go along. So for Mistweavers, if they wanted to change how Renewing Mist worked, that would happen at level 93. And all of a sudden that change would happen. You'd say, hey, I got an upgraded Renewing Mist. Let's see what this does. Oh, that's a little different. So what did we think? They haven't announced any of these, I don't think. So
they said a few for, like, you know, maybe your fireball would have a 35% increase in damage kind of thing. It's you're not getting new buttons, you're getting bigger buttons.
Yeah. So what do we think for monks? Any play changes we think is going to happen with these upgraded spells? Maybe Renewing Mist bouncing to more people, 4 or 5.
You might see something like Blackout Kick cleaving.
Yeah.
Disty Fury maybe will be able to be cast while moving. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways they could go, and who says that they have to modify a spell only once? Why can't they modify it twice?
Right. You get one at 93, another at 96, and...
Yeah, like let's say Fist of Fury, right? When you get the first upgrade to Fist of Fury, it does 20% more damage. The second upgrade now lets you move.
Yep.
So you will gradually get to the point where they will consider you balanced at 100. Because let's face it, they don't really care as much about the balance at level 93 as they do about the balance at level 100. Mm-hmm. And they've said as much. It just doesn't matter for us as much. It's important. They know that they can't have too big an imbalance, but they focus on endgame. They focus on those level breakpoints.
Right. And not many people... They have to focus on, like, the breakpoints leveling up for PvPers, and they may ensure some sort of balance there, but no one's going to stop their leveling at 94 to go into the PvP bracket. They're going to go up to 100, so...
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to Sunnyer's favorite thing, new character models.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
So from what we've heard, they're definitely going to work on all the vanilla models. All of those are going to be updated. They're going to try to do the Worgen and...
well, they said they'll reevaluate Worgen and Goblin.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was Draenei and Blood Elf. They're going to really try hard to do. And especially with the Draenei being in such focus.
I hope they do.
Yeah, the Draenei is going to be in big focus this expansion, so they're going to have to. But then they're going to reevaluate then and take a look at the Worgen and see how horrible they look in comparison and see if they need to update those as well. And the Goblin, too.
Yeah.
So I think they did a good job on the Goblin. I think the Worgen does need some updates, though.
Female Worgen is disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Well, they can't change the aesthetics. They can only change, like, the texture resolution and add more bones if they need to.
Right.
They can get rid of that sneer the female Worgen has. No problem. Nobody's going to cry foul because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
She can shave too.
But one of the things that they showed, right? So they showed the old dwarf and then they showed the new dwarf. And you know what? The new dwarf looks just like the old dwarf, only a little
has
clearer.
Personality.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The female
He's a hairy
gnome,
dude.
the female gnome now has all of the emotion that you used to have to pretend was there. Now it's on her face.
Right.
So we're really are getting these high resolution, not just in in actual terms where it's a higher resolution texture map and more polygons, the whole thing, but we're getting a higher resolution of what the character is. So like they said, their goal is that the souls are the souls of these these models are in place when we go to 6.0, so that you don't log on and you go, oh, my gnome's been ugly this whole time. You go, oh, there's my gnome. Click.
Yeah.
And playing with the models at the demo, they are just fantastic. They have, just like how the Pandaren are, where every single emotion they do, jumping around, attacking, their facial expressions change, and it's beautiful. And I really can't wait to see what the female races actually play like. But
yeah. Yeah, I was surprised that we only had those 3. I know they said they were working on player models for quite a while, and I know they said one time they had the dwarf done. I was expecting more than 3 by this point.
I mean, these were the ones that are done in animated. Let's face it, animating these things isn't going to be the big deal. The big deal is, what do they look like? And I guarantee you there are going to be a lot of arguments down the road between here and when this expansion launches, talking about, why is this out of place? The eyebrow should look like this. And you probably have, not literally, but you have virtually knife fights going on in those artist room, talking about how this is an affront to the character and should never see the light of day and things like that. So they're used to really arguing these out in the best way possible, where argument actually leads to a constructive output.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to another feature. Every account of Warlords of Draenor is going to get a free 90. So you can boost an existing character you have. So if you have your old main sitting there at 60 that you want to bring back and see with the new character models, bam, 90. You can take it straight into Warlords of Draenor.
And no limitations.
Right. You get a friend that pops in and say, hey, I want to check out this new game. Let's try it. You buy it and you say, okay, well, join my server, and bam, 90, let's go play.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
if you want to create an alt for the auction house in another realm, well, 90, there you go.
But you only get it once.
Yes.
For now. Now, someone did ask in the panels, well, are we going to be able to buy 90s? Maybe. One day.
They immediately saw that somebody would go out, buy a Warlords of Draenor box, create a brand new account, create the new 90, transfer it over to their other account.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, that's stupid. We can make the process easier and not have to take as much of your money.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you heard a lot of cries about, oh, this is pay to win, this is pay to win. But I think it was Alex Zebart on WoW Insider who says getting to 90 is not winning.
No, you still have to go through. Like, I can't count. I have several alts that are sitting there at 85 because it's like, I can't do all of Pandaria again. It takes too long. So that happens every expansion though. It's so quick to level up to where the current expansion starts, and then it slows down, and then you're like, you can't do it.
That's crazy. I'm working on my 8th level 90.
That is crazy. You're right.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so the legendary questline, they said that will return in Warlords of Draenor. So the questline is going to be a little bit more custom to the class to help with the lack of class quests. So we should have a more monk-specific one, but not a monk-specific one, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. But they also said that this is not in lieu of your standard legendaries that will happen still in raids.
Right.
So you're going to have the legendaries that might drop off a boss, like in Black Temple. You might have legendaries in which you have to collect 30 pieces of poo or something, like you did in Ulduar. And then on top of that, there's going to be this quest line to give you the end game legendary.
Right.
So they're giving you both versions. You're going to get a people's legendary, and you're going to get a person's legendary.
Mm-hmm. And they also, going back to leveling, someone in the chat room said, Acid's tweet said, it's 100 freaking levels at this point. That is really hard to ask a new player to go and level 100 levels. That's why I give them a free 90. Yeah. But it's even harder, like if you want to have alts, it's even harder to say, well, all right, you've done 100 levels, go do it again. And again.
Do it 6, 8, 10 times.
And again. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So
I'd actually love it if they implemented some sort of system where you get a level 100, and with that level 100, you can spend 3,000 Valor and get a token that you can send to an alt, and now that alt is 90. So that you don't have to spend real money, you just get it.
Right.
But in 7.0, they're going to if this is as successful as we think it's going to be, in 7.0, it's going to give you, hey, boost to 100.
Yep. I think they're absolutely going to have to keep doing that. Now, if they keep upping the item or the level maximum, they're going to have to keep giving us the free ones, the free boosts. Is it's going to be really hard for people coming back. I mean, if I was coming back and I left during BC or Wrath and my character's level 80 and it's like, okay, now it's 100. No, I'm done. Thanks. But they also said that leveling in Warlords of Draenor is going to be a fun and fast-paced romp through the zones. Teams backing off the idea that leveling should be a long grind. Thank you.
Yeah. And there's going to be a lot of alternate quest hubs. There's going to be specific things about here's the 6 stories you need to complete to get through the zone and that kind of stuff. It's
yeah,
getting to 100 is going to be very quick for the hardcore player and very enjoyable for the one who wants to take their time.
And they said that there's going to be, if you just want to get through it, you can follow the main storyline through each of the zones, and you don't have to get all those optional quests. It's really hard now when you jump into Jade Forest. You do the main storyline for the first few quests, and you get to a quest hub, and it's like, okay, I've got 18 different exclamation points here. Which one is the one that I need to do? And which ones are optional? You don't know, but this one they're going to make it very clear. This is the main storyline. If you just want to get the story of this expansion, do this. And they'll guide you through. And hopefully, I think what they'll probably do is say, well, if you do all of the main storyline, you will probably be at 98, 99 and be able to just do a couple dungeons and clear yourself out. If you want to do it faster or just get more of the story, you can go and just do all the optional quest hubs and everything like that. All right.
I always tend to do all the quests just once. My first tune, I do every single quest, and then every alt I do is just
main
level as quick
storyline.
as I can.
Yeah, I do the same thing. So, okay. Well, any last thoughts on Warlords of Draenor?
I'm excited for it. We'll see it happen.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be happy to move out of Siege of Orgrimmar, but I hope to have a little bit of time to play Shadowrun Returns and some other games and get those out of my queue. So, all right. Well, let's talk about the monk community at the Peak of Serenity in
Zen Pilgrimage.
Okay, so we already talked about Ask Mr. Robot, and they're saying they have lots of features planned that they're going to make public soon. So it's good that these community sites still have something to do. As I said, it seemed like the panel was poking at Ask Mr. Robot a little bit. And they said you shouldn't have to go get your items approved by a robot. That was a direct rip at Ask Mr. Robot. But I'm glad that they're keeping up and these community sites are able to keep going. So looking forward to what they have planned. And let's see. All right, was there any questions from the dojo this week that we saw? Did we see anything in there?
They're just excited about that new UI for heirlooms. I see that.
Yeah, I am too, man. All right.
Well, let's take a moment here. Sunnier does have to go to raid, and since this is our last appearance with her, we might as well give her a proper send-off.
Sad face.
Yes.
So let me just start. Sunnier, believe it or not, I had heard of you before Mr. Pandaria, because you used to have a great blogging place for people who liked bear butts, specifically druid bear butts. And I used that site just about every other week in order to be an off-tank for my raid team. So on that, I want to thank you, and just being with you on these 9 episodes has been an absolute honor. So thank you very much for your time here.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sunnier, thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad I reached out to you. Your website has been a big help to the monk community, and we look forward to you keeping that up, and I wish you the best of luck in your new raid team.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, and I'm super glad to have had this opportunity, and I hope some other time I could be a guest host or something like that.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, we'll get you in whenever we can.
Great team, for sure.
And good luck, Sunnier.
And kill many bosses with those druids.
Yes. Man, you guys are going to be fighting for the leather when 6.0 comes out. Leather drop, all the tanks want it. Okay.
Well, it's okay. Most of the people who used to play druids play something else now. So.
Okay. Well, with that, hate to talk about it while you're still here, Sunny, but we're going to need a new brewmaster. So again, if you are interested in joining the Monk Meditation team, please reach out to me at monkmeditation@gmail.com or reach me on Twitter at wowmonk. Let me know you're interested, and we'll put something together or talk to you a little bit. We'll try to get a somewhat decent replacement for Sunnier, though no one's going to beat the bare butt master. So
We can
Well, as
fill in
long
the
as they
seat, we
read my
cannot
guide,
replace them.
they'll be fine.
yeah, they'll just read your
Exactly.
guide and then come onto the show, and they'll be good. So. All right. Did we have anything from the dojo? Nope. Okay. Someone asked, will the Heirlooms quest include archaeology BOAs? That's World of Spawn BOAs and inscription staffs. No clue.
Question.
Probably not.
Yeah, not the
Pretty
inscription
specific,
stats
yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah,
I
they're,
don't-
they're talking about specifically the heirlooms level with you. That's what they're talking about when it comes to heirlooms. Now, if they categorize those items as toys, because we saw that there were some kind of pseudo weapons in the toy box, then yeah, now all of your tunes will have that account. Will have those
That'd be
available
nice.
to them.
Very nice.
Okay, well, do we have any shout-outs besides shouting Sunnier out?
I just want to give a shout out to my healer team and Iron Deficiency. Boone, Spence, and especially Sushi. Like, we're pushing heroics as hard as we can, and there's a lot to go through, especially when I'm messing up my cooldowns. So, thank you guys for keeping me up, and yeah, I'm excited for this coming week. So, big shout out to my healing crew.
Always thank your healers.
Yes. Yes. Christmas is coming up. Start buying those gifts early, man. So-
Yeah.
We like mana.
All right. Anyone else have any shout-outs? Cricket.
Cricket.
I think we're all just excited to get going with Warlords of Draenor. It's going to be a long wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a long wait, indeed. All right, guys. I think it's time to get our furry butts out of here. But first, let's go to those awesome 5-star reviews. Naoki, do we have any?
Not this week, unfortunately.
Sad
Oh,
people.
no.
Well, guys, we know you like
okay.
us.
BlizzCon hangover.
We see the downloads.
Yeah.
I blame BlizzCon. Yeah,
Yeah, I do too. They're
it's
too
a
busy.
hangover. A lot of alcohol on Twitter. Lots.
All right, guys. Well, please rate us on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube, or on Twitch.tv. I want to thank everyone for listening. You can watch us live in 2 weeks, where we'll be seeing if any of the monks here know what they're talking about when Siege of Orgrimmar continues. And we'll see our new brewmaster, possibly. So our next show is going to be Monday, December 2nd at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/wowmonk. You can also follow us after the fact on iTunes, Stitcher, Twitch, and at monkmeditation.com, where you can buy these lovely hosts a cup of Mana tea for bringing you the best monk discussion on the interwebs. So as part of the monk community, if you have a blog, website, or person you want to see on the show, please reach out to us via email at monkmeditation@gmail.com. The monk community is the best one in the World of Warcraft, and we want to showcase it. Daikatsu, how can the dojo best reach us?
Well, we all like to hang out on Twitter a lot, so you can find Chai T at WowMonk. Naoyuki is at NaoYuki_CTR. Air is hanging out at AirMonk. Me, you can find me at DaikatsuCTR, no underscore. And Sunnier, you can find at SunnierBear and Sunnier'sArtofWar.com.
All right, best of luck to you, Sunair. We appreciate you being with us. And that wraps up this episode of Monk Meditation. May your brews be strong and your heart stronger. Good night, everybody.
Peace.